Hi, I'm Shelly Netzer-Edgerton, and this is Green Rose Edge. My first recipe I ever made when I was a child was saffron chocolate oatmeal. I did a lot of cooking, but that was the first recipe I came up with myself. I was probably early teens, so this recipe I've been doing for about, 16 years. Although, when I originally made it, I used packets of oatmeal and hot chocolate for the chocolate. Now I'm using old-fashioned oats, and I'm going to use cocoa powder and brown sugar instead of the pack of hot chocolate. Slightly different recipe, not too bad. I also usually didn't measure because I don't tend to measure, but for this I will be measuring. Need of measurements because he is a bit of a he has trouble figuring out unless he can measure everything out. Although he's starting to learn a little bit about eyeballing things and all, but he's still learning, so I can understand. Although I never had measurements when I was learning. I will start with the measurements of the milk. I'm going to do a cup of milk to the 1 cup, and I will put it into a pot. And next, take the saffron. Make sure you get a very good quality saffron. A cheaper saffron will not give you the flavor that you need. A lot of times it'll have a chemical type flavor to it, and it will kind of be a bit of a issue. I put about 2 small pinches of saffron in there. I didn't really count the threads. I use a lot of saffron in this recipe, and I just think it really is a flavor you want to taste. It has a floral flavor which goes very well with the oatmeal and the chocolate. That just goes above and beyond. I think I'll put an extra half a cup of milk in here, and see if that's enough. You usually add a little more at the end because you will see how wet or dry it is. When I make oatmeal, I do not put it all in at first, but stir it. Turn your stove on low, because like I said, this part actually can still be done in the microwave. I'm doing it all on the stove. But you are going to warm the milk up slightly and steep the saffron before you put the oatmeal together. That's the first part. I will add the sugar in with and the cocoa powder towards the end of the recipe. So just start out with some saffron and some milk steeping together on the stove or in the microwave. The microwave would take less time too, but this is so this is actually the first time I've done this on the stove, but this particular recipe I usually do a lot of steamed milks and I do all the steps to it, but not where I'll steep things in milk for my coffee. I do this a lot for coffee and stuff. I've never done the saffron on the stove steeped, but I've done it in the microwave. Like I said, that was the original way I did this. I'm doing it on the stove so you can see what I'm doing. It's a little easier for me with the little camera. When I'm doing some things, you'll notice I'm doing a lot of stuff one-handed because low power mode. But you'll see I did a lot of things one-handed because I'm holding the camera. Maybe if I can get a good camera that I can mount in places, I'll be able to change and be able to do things. But this is my cell phone cam, so right now, so that's what it is. So when my camera is moving, it's because I'm holding it. I don't have a camera person. But I'm going to do a cup of oatmeal in the other pot, a heaping, 2 heaping tablespoons of brown sugar, the 1/4 teaspoon of salt to bring out the flavors, and again, a heaping, about a tablespoon and a half in that. This is off right now. I'm going to stir it all together. Usually I steep the saffron and put the saffron into the oatmeal before I put the chocolate in, but I mixed the chocolate in with the oatmeal this time. A little different than my usual procedure. But if you're doing it with packets of oatmeal, the original recipe called for 2 packets of oatmeal and equal milk to what it says on the packets. And I steep the milk, like a cup of milk or whatever, in the microwave in just a microwave safe cup, and just put in for like a minute is what I usually do. I warm up the milk and then I add the oatmeal to that, put it in for another minute, enough for 2 packs, and then I will add a pack of hot chocolate with marshmallows, the Swiss Miss kind, whatever brand you like best. But like I said, I'm doing it a little differently. I'm doing it on the stove. I know all the techniques, so it's not really that different than what I normally do, but I don't do this recipe a lot. I've been doing it since I was a kid, though, so it's kind of a old recipe, so it's, like I said, I did this in like the 90s, so some time ago. First time I tried saffron, I figured it went, so it's, my milk's been starting to steam. It's nice and steeped, and it has a slightly yellow tinge. It won't be too strong, just slightly, from the saffron. Saffron tends to, especially good saffron, turns your stuff yellow. And get a good saffron. Go to a reliable place for your saffron. Do not skimp on that. Don't use the saffron with the Z, because that is not real saffron. It's a different product, and I'm going to add a little more oatmeal, because I think I used too much milk for now, oatmeal in this form is a little bit more of a it takes a little longer to cook than, like I said, my original thing was the packets, old-fashioned packets, but it works. You're just trying to get, like, don't overcook your oatmeal. That's another thing everybody does, and they ruin their oatmeal because they overcook it. And right now, I don't want it to be overcooked. Although, if you overcook oatmeal and it's a little mushy, add some raw oatmeal in there. Just a few small, just a little bit, like a tablespoon or two, and it will give some tooth to it and will make it really good. When I originally made this, I put the third packet of oatmeal in after I cooked it. So it was 2 packs of oatmeal, 1 pack of hot chocolate, milk, like a cup of milk, and a pinch of saffron was the original recipe, and the third pack at the end of the oatmeal. It was quite easy. You can still do it that way. Like I said, I'm doing it a little differently. I'm using special dark chocolate and using special dark cocoa powder, and using the old-fashioned oats, not individually packed. I'm using the not the instant oatmeal, and I'm using the brown sugar for the sweetener instead of using the Swiss Miss or whatever brand, the hot chocolate that would have the sweetener and the chocolate mixed together already. The flavors actually go quite well, and if you've ever eaten a few pieces of raw oatmeal, they have a bit of a floral flavor, kind of similar to the saffron. So I saw a recipe on Good Eats when he did his oatmeal. I believe it was the second oatmeal show. Wild Oats or whatever it was called too. It was the second one. And he made a drink. Saffron would go good in that drink too. With the, it was a little brown sugar, some oats, and lemon, and, not lemon, lime in there. And I made the drink. And after that, I thought I could make my simple syrup with saffron, which I've done before. I use it a lot on cakes. It's just a cup of sugar, cup of water, and a little pinch of saffron. Steep until everything's melted together. It'll turn yellow. You can use that simple syrup on a lot of stuff. And a little bit of that simple syrup in that drink would actually be quite nice. So, the flavor would be good. Go a little bit of an interesting flavor. I will I'm still waiting on this to get really warm. The fact that the it's starting to, it's actually pretty close to the right texture. Right now. Needs a little bit more cooking, but that's because I didn't have the stove on and it's just taking a while to heat up. Oh, and I got it on low. I should make sure you have this on just past medium, because low you're never going to get anything heat when it's all the way to low. That's more like a keep warm thing. But this will be a fantastic oatmeal. I've just tasted it. It's so good already. I probably will, after this milk thickens up and absorbs into the oatmeal, I will probably add just a touch of more oats. And if it's thick, really, really thick, I'll add a touch of milk to thin it out. It's always a good idea. Generally, I would add extra milk at the end and oatmeal and raw oatmeal when I cooked oatmeal as a kid, because I always thought it made it creamier and it get to the right texture. And that was just my original afraid. That was just my favorite texture of oatmeal. I didn't like it. Even in my early years. It was funny. I went to a restaurant for my aunt's my aunt got married, and she invited the whole family to go to a very nice restaurant. And the oatmeal is really good. And I got I ordered chocolate mousse, but it was way too rich for a good chocolate mousse. A good chocolate mousse should be light and airy. But we went to this really nice restaurant, and I got chocolate mousse, and it was just too rich, and I couldn't eat it. And I was like 5 years old saying, this is too rich. So everyone had a ball and laughed so hard that this little girl was saying that she didn't like the dish. It was too rich. It was very sophisticated sounding. Especially saying the term rich, not sweet. Now it's starting to thicken up. This may not even need to add anything to it. A tablespoon of oatmeal just for because that raw oatmeal really does go good. I just wouldn't eat a whole bowl of raw oatmeal. But it really does go good with the whole oat flavor. A little bit more milk, and just for good measure, finish with a few threads of saffron. And there you have a wonderful saffron chocolate oatmeal. It doesn't look like much, but boy, it tastes unbelievable. One of my favorite dishes since I first made it when I was in my early teens. And this one looks even darker because I used dark chocolate instead of the milk chocolate from the chocolate milk, the hot chocolate mix. This is rich, it's chocolatey, it is saffron chocolate oatmeal. And see you next time on Green Rose Edge. Bye! Thank you.